Ken Hinkley said it was one of the best wins he had ever had, as Port Adelaide came from nowhere to hunt down a 41-point deficit against Hawthorn. He also said from the start of the game, quote, "Hawthorn were better than us," but clearly was gloating with joy at the end of the match. It was the definition of stealing a game of sport. Sure, Zach Butters had a monumental last quarter, and maybe Hawks coach Sam Mitchell went defensive a bit too early, but they were up by 11 points with just 40 seconds left. You can put it any way you want, but that was a daylight robbery. And it's not the first time we have seen a team who has been down all game pull off a miracle in the home and away season. One of the most famous ones I can remember watching was way back in 2013. A quiet round 9 game on Sunday afternoon between North Melbourne and Adelaide would all of a sudden turn into one of the great games of all time. We skip forward to the last quarter with 9 minutes remaining. At this stage, the Kangaroos were up by 30 points, but Adelaide forward Sam Kerridge nailed his set shot to get the margin to an even 4 goals. There was plenty of time for a comeback, but when 5 minutes of game time had passed, it looked like a done deal. The Crows had managed a single point in this period of play, and all North Melbourne had to do was drain the clock.
And now Smith kicks to full forward. Pleasure. Well done, Pleasure. The little give. Kerridge for a handful. He's got 5, and they're still alive. What a game.
Kerridge kicked another goal, but it wasn't panic stations at all, and when Sam Wright replied with a behind, then it looked like Adelaide winning would be nearly impossible.
Stretch, needs support, gives it across to Lynch, back to Douglas, full chested, he goes in and kicks the goal, and North Melbourne are quivering at the knees.
We've talked about him, back to Lynch, Lynch sidestep, and then goes with a long run. Would it be a goal? It's going to be a goal, because that guy has done it again. Kerridge.
He's going to get this through as quickly as he can.
Adelaide within a goal. Can you believe it?
2 transition goals in a little over a minute made it an even 6-point lead. But again, surely a draw would be the worst case scenario for the Kangaroos.
First came from Ferrito, opportunity for Petrenko, goes with the outside of the boot. Now they can win. Chance taken down, Kerridge the unlikely hero.
Kicks to full forward, anything can happen here. Here we go, it's a goal. Can you believe it? It's extraordinary. Petrenko, the late inclusion during the week.
Poor defending by those North Melbourne defenders led to Petrenko karate kicking the Crows to an unbelievable win. 30 points up with 9 minutes left, 23 points up with 4 minutes left, but it wasn't enough. It might be Adelaide's greatest quick comeback ever, and left North Melbourne heartbroken. Almost 20 years before the North Melbourne and Crows game was an even more unbelievable robbery. You might not know the matchup, but in 1994, Sydney hosted St Kilda in round 7. Fox Footy did a recall of the game, such was the dramatic nature of it. At the end of 3 quarters, Sydney were winning 96-58. Both sides at this time were at the bottom of the ladder, so it was a chance to get a rare victory. The Swans were clearly in pole position and led in the last term by 48 points with 16 minutes of game time left.
8 points in front. So if the Saints could win from here, it would be the biggest last quarter comeback in AFL VFL history.
The recall team knew what was coming. Dean Gregg kicked a goal to get it back to 42 points, but it took another 7 minutes for Gregg to kick another goal, 109-74 with a touch over 8 minutes left. How could the Saints pull it off?
Number 8, Tony Lockett. Oh, she struck it well. That's amazing. Never in doubt from there. So Wayne Thornborough, 21-year-old in his first ever AFL game. From Glenelg, he's got some sky into that. Straight over the goal umpire's hat.
Well, 2 goals in 2 minutes will help. Another few minutes had passed, and a boundary line special from Keogh got the margin to sit at 17 points. 3 goals is doable, but with 2 minutes 40 left, highly unlikely, enter Tony Lockett.
Finely tuned. Oh, no. Yes! Suck it, Jason.
Chance for Greg, got there, feeds it over the top. Plugger slams it through. They're a goal from the lead. Creswell, hack forward, where's Plugger? Plugger again for number 11. And he nearly took Kickett's bow off. They were 51 points down earlier in the game. 48 points down earlier in this quarter, and he has slotted it with ease.
The final seconds ticked down, and all Sydney coach and AFL legend Ron Barassi could do was watch the Saints celebrate. It was probably the worst loss of his coaching career. He summed it up by saying the loss was diabolical in his post-match presser. Lockett kicked 11 for the day in a remarkable last quarter comeback. We moved to 2021 and the last round of that season. Geelong hosted Melbourne at GMHBA Stadium in a game that would decide who would finish first on the AFL ladder. With Port Adelaide beating the Western Bulldogs, it put them into a second place spot, so the loser of the game would drop to third. Unsurprisingly, Geelong took advantage of their home ground. With 13 minutes left in the third quarter, Tom Hawkins kicked his set shot and the lead sat at 44 points. A few minutes later, Clayton Oliver got free and delivered a much needed goal for the D's. Even though Ben Brown kicked a goal late in the third term, the margin sat at 32 points. Unlike the last two games of dramatic comebacks, the D's got within a goal extremely quick. Through Cozzy Pickett and then Charlie Spargo, the margin was at 20 just 2 minutes into the last quarter.
The full measure of the run. Fritsch has got his man underneath, but Henry good enough to score from here. Bailey Fritsch almost run down, kicks the goal. 5 unanswered this quarter.
At this stage, it seemed destined Melbourne would overpower the Cats, but they didn't. Geelong held on, and with 34 seconds left, it seemed they had the field position to close out the game. But Melbourne got some luck as the experienced Cam Guthrie kicked the ball out in the full, and then Brad Close punched the ball out into the empty stands and gave away a 50-metre penalty. They handed the ball to Lever with 20 seconds remaining.
What is going on?
And Melbourne are minor premiers. Just like that.
It was Melbourne's first minor premiership since 1964 and catapulted them on to become grand final winners. When Sydney started 2017 0-6, their finals hopes were basically demolished. However, a run of 6 wins in 7 games had them back in the mix, but still, not much could go wrong. A few more losses in the back end of the season would mean no finals. So the pivotal round 14 game against Essendon, who were in a similar spot on the ladder, would give one side an important win to bank. Sydney were in control for a majority of the game before out of nowhere, Essendon, who were down 47-65 just before the end of the third, went ballistic to go on a 38-2 run. 85-66 was the score with a touch over 4 minutes left. An Oliver Florent goal gave the Swans hope, but when a Franklin goal was overruled, it looked like the comeback was over.
Kennedy's going to sit this long, top of the goal square. I'll tell you what, Newman's at the back, almost takes the mark, recovers, he'll kick the goal, it's there, it's back on. Naismith winds up again, look who's marked it, look who's kicked it, look how far out he is, long ball. He misses to the right hand side.
Inexplicably, like Guthrie in the Geelong game, senior player Brendan Goddard made a pivotal mistake from the kick-out, allowing the ball to be smothered.
Bill Chambers, ball in the back, kick by Rampy, Mark, Rowan. It is unbelievable. It'll be a 1-point win. they're going to be in the 8. How did they do that from 19 points with 3 minutes or something? They were 0-6. They're in the 8.
Longmire couldn't believe it, and the Swans went 8-1 in the last 9 games of the season to finish as high as 6th. It's the most improbable win the Swans might have ever had.